Blog Talk Radio.
Here we wept when we remember Zion. Cutting and clearing, renting and tearing to clearing. 7, 9 or 13 mile of black star line of ship. Going up the harbor, the Mount Sire. Up the Nile. And I want Ethiopia from Cape to Cairo. Timber 1 to Timber 2, just Dakar. To the boat to the Mount Sire. One black Ethiopia, one black Nigeria, one black Ghana, the Most High. All human beings are born free and equal, within dignity and right behind glorious reason, and constant out to the towards one another in a spirit. Yes, I brought out the Most High. A bubble like Inga, Jara, Tafari, Shira, King Selassie,
Bless the love, my Lord and Empress. Give thanks for tuning in to Black Truth Radio. This is the Son of a Priest, Jaja, the Ethiopia, Africa, Black International Congress, Church of True Divine Salvation. Yes, we give thanks for all of those listening, tuning in. For those who's online, go ahead and spread the word. Those who have Twitter, you can go ahead and tweet. Let them know that Black Truth Radio is on the air. And tonight we have a special program lined up for ones and ones. As you know, it's remembering Walter Rodney. We have an honorable guest who's going to be calling in, or we're going to be calling out, matter of fact, who was an elder from Guyana who's been working since the early 40s or the mid 40s, I should say, serving the people. That's about over 50 years, 60 years of public service. It's Honorable Eusi Kwayana. And being that Honorable Prophet Kwame, Bridget lined him up. I guess he went to school with his son. He lined up the interview, so we give thanks to Prophet Kwame, and we're going to have him as our special co-host for the night. And I see his hand raised. Let me bring him on the air. Bless the love, my Lord.
King Emmanuel the 7, Adonai.
Oh my God.
Rastafari. To our Father, to the Son, to the Holy One of creation. As Jah was in the beginning, is now, never shall be. That was without sin. So, Lord God, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Give thanks for our Black Ethiopian International Black Congress Church of Salvation. Our church stand above all other organizations. You know, give thanks for, you know, all life and the mighty life giver. King Emmanuel the 7, Adonai, God, Jah. Rastafari. Blessed love, my Lord, Honorable. Blessed love, all Black Truth Radio. Honorable Priest Jaja, how is the eye, my Lord?
Yes, my Lord, there, you know, keeping the fire burning, you know. Thanks to you,
my Lord.
True.
Not
there, Bubba Andy, you know.
True. Honorable Prophet Andy, how is it, my Lord? Blessed love, God.
Black and beautiful, my Lord. And now give thanks for all powers all out, my Lord. And now give thanks for winning the earth, my Lord, you know.
Wow, I got powers in your voice, my Lord. I love that, my Lord. Heart of love, God.
Give thanks, my Lord, no? Yeah, man, Master at this time, you know. So we do give thanks for this time. Black Truth Media, you know. Word without
True.
Lord, no?
True.
Give thanks for the two angels standing up so heartily and, you know, doing such Congress works at this time. Give thanks, my Lord.
My Lord. And yes, like I was telling people that we have Eusi Kwayana as a historian, playwright, writer, long-time activist. My Lord, you say you went to school with his son. Was it in Ghana?
Yeah, man. That's my close brother. That's the Right Honorable Brother Ross Kwame Alaf Kwayana. You know, most know him as Alaf or Alafia. You know. And we went to school in 97, excuse me, in University of Ghana at Legon. You know, that's when we were both young man, you know?
True. Yeah, man. So we're going to have the elders speaking about Walter Rodney. For those who's not familiar with Walter Rodney, he was a scholar. Some would call him like a revolutionary scholar, warrior. It was a brethren, went to school in, I believe it was at Queens. And he was working in Jamaica at the University of West Indies. A lot of people know him for his books, Europe Underdeveloped Africa, also Grounding with the Brothers. Yes, you know, so even in Jamaica, because in 1968, en route to return to Jamaica, he was banned from Jamaica by Hugh Shearer. Hugh Shearer, being the Prime Minister of Jamaica at that time, was also one of the ones who was key in the sabotaging of Right Honorable Prince Emmanuel's efforts, you know, within the agitation of repatriation. You know, I was ambassador, I think the United States ambassador to Jamaica, Vince Del Rey, said that Hugh Shearer was a well-dressed Negro who knew his place, you know. So even in 1968, Walter Rodney was banned from Jamaica. Even at that time, all black books, revolutionary books, black conscious books was banned in Jamaica in 1968, along with the Walter Rodney. So that sparked what they call the Walter Rodney riots. You know what I mean? Starting from the University of West Indies, which, you know, spilled over into the streets. You know what I mean? A couple of people lost their lives, millions of dollars worth of damage. You know, so after Jamaica, he went to Tanzania, then eventually went back to his native birthplace or born place, which is Guyana. And it was there that he was murdered, you know, which is a conspiracy even behind that whole situation still, you know. So definitely have an informative night. We're looking forward to the brethren, honorable guests, to even give us more of a fullness of the brethren Walter Rodney and his works, you know what I mean. Even Walter Rodney was Lincoln. I remember Walter Rodney was not only a professor, but he was heavily in the communities, in particular what they used to call a Dunga, you know, Bacawal, linking up with the Rastafari community. he was trying to link up the Rastafari and the Black Power movement in the Caribbean, particularly Jamaica, with the Black Power movement in America. And that alone, was stepping on the toes of the white world, So we know CIA and all of them is involved with Walter Rodney, and his assassination still, So I don't know. So I'm not sure if that I'm familiar with Walter Rodney, but I'm not sure how familiar you may be with Walter Rodney still, but
yeah, man. Walter Rodney, is one of our great black historians, whereby every, black son and daughter, need to know about Walter Rodney. In fact, during the show, let's really make it a teachment show. Ones that don't know about Walter Rodney, it's good you listen in and take notes, but as well go and do your own research. Go and Google about the man. Go into your libraries, go into your black bookstores, collect his books. They should be in every black man and black woman's Trubally, or what they call library. This is something that is vital for us as black people to know about such man, because the man paved a way for I and I, whereby a lot of men look at the emperor in a very spiritual aspect. Well, this man, he look at the emperor in terms of his physical actions, what the man actually did in the world, from building, Addis Ababa Dam, all the technology that he was dealing with, from, building the Ethiopian Airlines. Walter Rodney would point out all those things, in terms of furthering our development, as such an example of Pan-African development. So, my Lord and Empress, please, if you have computers by you, just go and Google about the man, so, we can all be on the same page on this here program, my Lord and Empress.
Sure. And, yes, you were speaking about the Bridgen, Brother Alaf. I know his father and his mother, I believe, was a Eusi, Kwayana, and I'm not sure if I know the Empress name, but I know they were doing a lot of works. Some of the education.
My God, I can't lie you. I is an African traditionalist, and I would call them uncle or auntie or Mrs. Kwayana.
Sure.
And of course, when you come into one's house under African tradition, it's only Brother Alafia me deal with, or my sister there, Empress Yabo, or Dakofi, So I never had so much direct interaction, So
sure.
Even I'm seeing this show as a great opportunity segue.
Sure.
All I see them as a great, black Ethiopian, Kemetan, African, Ghanaian, Nigerian, Congolese, Guyanese family, Yeah, so they were just great examples for me when I come to meet them at an early age. I really did see, just a great prime example,
Sure. And even during your early age, you was exposed to quite a number of revolutionaries. I'm not sure if I'm exaggerating a little bit, but
my God, you can never exaggerate, my God. I come up here in the Bay Area, California, where I was like 10 years old, 11 years old, meeting Black Panthers that had served with Honorable Comrade Huey P. Newton. She's not my blood relative, but same way, one blood, same way. We Africans is one people. But the Right Honorable Elaine Brown, who did run the Black Panthers when the Right Honorable Huey P. Newton was incarcerated, I did know her. So a lot of elders within the Black Panther Party are here in the Bay Area, and I would say those were my teachers. Those ones gave me such militancy, those ones helped me even to motivate myself to move to Africa, 'cause didn't really see this place, man getting shot out here, left and right out here. So, them elders kind of instilled that returning to Africa vibes, from, let's say, the 1980s, Mm-hmm.
True. And you say you used to go back and forth as a youth.
Yes, my lord. My caretaker, they never like to see me in the Bay Area here in the summertime, because the crime rate is escalated. Here during the summertime, this is a real concentration camp. From the Black Panthers' time, they said that they used to let guns out, like in boxes of guns.
like a whole box just of guns, and they just go and put it like in a little place called Dogtown, which is West Oakland, like the hood of all hoods. You know, they would go put guns in like Hunters Point, which is in Frisco. Another, like, these ain't just ghettos. These is double and triple ghettos. You just don't even want to enter there if you ain't got a ghetto pass. You know, so they used to let guns up. This was in the '60s, so you can imagine what they're doing now. You know, it's a real conspiracy against our black race here in California. We really got to move out of here. You know, but the thing is, what you see is our brothers and sisters in our communities, it come like a quicksand, where they put their feet inside the quicksand and they can't even see themselves getting out. It seems comfortable for them. You know, it's like, it's the way it's all set up. So, yeah, man, to answer your question, though, my caretaker used to send me to Ghana, every summer, not every summer, but whenever she could afford it, she would send me to Ghana, for my, and it made me who I am now. So, give thanks to my caretaker, Honorable Empress Wanda. She in Ghana right now.
Sure. And you mentioning the whole conspiracy, because the Black Panthers, following the Black Panthers, after a lot of the key figures within the Black Panthers got locked up, a lot of the younger youths who was forming what they would call organization or street organizations, but the term brand or gang was given to them. They was branded as gangs, but they was basically street organization as far as miniature versions of the Black Panthers, even the Bloods and the Crips. Because one of them have was it Crips community, or Bloods? One of them was like supposed to be an acronym for some type of community development program that they was working on as youths. But somewhere down the line, I guess, look at infiltration, some social engineering, the Bloods and the Crips began warring against each other, and then that's how that whole gang, and like you said, boxes of guns and all of that was being dropped, carloads of guns and drugs was being dropped off in them communities, especially in the West Coast, because the crack cocaine epidemic even started out there, and it worked its way east,
True. Well, even it started before that. What happened was it was the heroin epidemic, and what they said was that basically California's right here. We got these shipping ports that's connected to Asia, so they was bringing in Toyota, Nissan, all these Asian car companies had these big ocean liners, so they would be filled with heroin, and it would be brought over here, right into Oakland Harbor, right into Richmond Harbor, So the poison was being released into our community. But what happened was, when you study about the Black Panthers, that happened just around the Black Panthers time, and it was done between the Italian mafia, and the CIA. And they was like, this Black Panther party is getting out of control. So what could we do better than put drugs into the community? So that was even before the crack. It was the heroin that is what really got us here, and then of course the crack followed. You was talking about the Crips and the Bloods. That's more of a LA epidemic, a Southern California epidemic. I'm here in Northern California, where of course we did have the Crips and the Bloods, but we had Black Mafia family, which is out of Oakland, and we had what's really known about Oakland or the Bay Area is really the pimp game. That movie called The Mac was filmed right out here. We had a gangster out here named Felix Mitchell that when he was killed, they had him in a glass casket, and the funeral procession was down a street called MacArthur, which is like a street that runs from one side of Oakland to the other side, and it was a glass casket, if you could imagine. It was all decked out and everything. Those kind of men came out of to bring down the Black Panther Party, because the CIA and the FBI, they would go and empower these drug dealers. They basically got them to where they were. And concerning the Crips and the Bloods, a lot of those men was former Black Panthers, and because it's like it got slowed down, instead of shifting their energy into the Black Panthers, which was protecting the community, keeping the drugs out of the community, and keeping, basically how the Black Panthers was formed. It was in, you have to do, pardon me on the actual street it was. I think it's like 14th Street or something like that. If somebody want to call in and correct me, I'd appreciate love it. But what happened was they was riding down this street at excessive speed, so the young children was getting licked off the street. So the Black Panthers would direct traffic, And so this slowly grew where they was just protecting the areas. And so when they seen the gang, they would, they would come in there with force. They would come in there with like 40 brothers with shotguns and say, yo, y'all going to stop all this thing. So it was like a deterrent. It was a way to keep our communities clean. But then what happened is, I mentioned earlier, the conspiracy taking place with putting the drugs in our community, putting the guns in our community. It shifted, and that's where the Crips and the Bloods came about. As I mentioned, the Black Mafia family came about, so, and now we have 2011, where Eusi is crazy out here. They're crazy out here. I mean, I could go into all details, but everyone knows how a ghetto is. It's universal, the same thing.
Yeah, universal.
Ghetto, And this is another reason why we got to get our people out of here, because, the potential in our black community is so great that we need this potential focused in one harnessed energy, in one land, so that we can all be there together, formulate plans, brainstorm, whatever it takes. But, this is another motivation for, the black repatriation, My God.
Yeah, man, we give thanks for King Emmanuel still, because you see what Walter Rodney was trying to do? He was trying to link up, especially during the 60s, because you remember the 60s was a ripe era for revolution, black power movement going throughout the four wings, and Walter Rodney was trying to link up the Caribbean struggle with the black American struggle, with the struggle in Africa, Southern America. You understand? And this is what the CIA and all of them has been trying to avoid, the linking up of African people globally. Ever since Marcus Garvey. You understand? So we give thanks for King Emmanuel was able to, gather his sons and daughters throughout the four corners of the earth. You see, the Congress is an international Congress, so we give thanks, for our leader, our shepherd, gathering I throughout the four corners of the earth to even reach that better land, because obviously down here it's sinking sand, my Lord. It's a sinking sand, and the youth don't really have a positive light to look to, so it's really I really have to be that positive light that they can see now, so you can come out of that dark world of sin,
Now, we have to, my Lord. It's going to go on, my Lord, one step at a time. We all go move into Zion,
True. And so, even getting into the resume, because the Brethren sent a resume as a fat resume still, I'm going to kind of let ones know of Honorable Elder Eusi Kwayana, his credentials and his work. He was born on the 4th of April, 1925 in Guyana. His activity experience was within education, arts, and even political life. Began teaching in 1940 up until 1952 in government-aided primary schools. Then he began teaching high school from 1956 to 1976. He was also the leading rural supporter of Chetty Jagan in his first election to the Legislative Council in 1947. He was a now founding member of the Political Affairs Committee and founder and first Assistant General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party. While a primary school teacher, he supported the sugar workers' struggle after the Enmore shooting of 1948. Sent by the PPP as a delegate to the Congress of the Peoples for Peace in Vienna in 1952. In the British White Paper suspended the 1953 Constitution, I believe the Guyanese Constitution, Eusi Kwayana was named one of the 5 ringleaders, along with Martin Carter, Rory Westmont, Bali Lakman Singh, and Adoja Singh. And they was detained without trial by the British governor in 1953 at the U.S. Air Base in Natskin Field. Co-founder with H.H. Nicholson of the African Society for Racial Equality in 1962. A founder of the African Society for Cultural Relations with Independent Africa in 1968. The 1968 Cultural Revolution encouraged local arts, crafts, foods, and respect for Guyana's cultures, including revival of African music, especially drums, and popularizing the adoption of African names. In 1965, he traveled to 9 African countries as envoy, part of an envoy with Mr. LFS Burnham, then Prime Minister, had made links with liberation movements, I believe, in Africa. Publications, he refers forward to the first edition of Martin Carter's Poem of Resistance, The Prodigal Daughter, a play produced, Christus Messiah, a play produced with original music, Promised Land was also a play, Scars of Bondage, a history, a first history of the African experience in Guyana, Eusi and Chaiko, Kwayana, A Birth of Freedom, early study of the 1763 uprising in Berbice, Guyana. So the Bridgen, as like I said, has a pretty extensive resume. He also wrote the introduction, the preface to Rasta and Resistance by Horace Campbell, and quite a number of works, So we definitely give thanks, my Lord, for the link, And we look forward. Yeah, man. And the Bridgen, now he was requesting that we call him. Okay, he said it would be easier if we call him. So I don't know if you want to call him on three-way. You just want us to try from here.
Yeah, man. I don't have a three-way still, so
All right, so we're gonna work it out. So.
Yeah, you have it. You have everything on that side, my lord.
True. Yeah, we have it right here.
Not sure. Good thanks.
Yeah, so we're gonna dial out and call our honorable guest, honorable elder. Eusi Kwayana, it's a dialogue. All right, yeah. So yes, Baba Kwame, you and the Bridgen, still keep the link, or is it Alaf?
Yeah, we talk all the time. That's my brother, That's
True.
That's another thing. Just to make a comment, we as black people, we as Bobo Santis, we got to keep the links with each other. Call up on your brother, see how he's doing. Show concern. Yeah,
true.
That's my original Bridgen there. Yeah, man.
True. Yeah, man. We got to bring him into Africa with us.
I tell you. This is what the man say. He say, I am my brother's keeper. So that's
true.
Yeah.
Rastafari.
Most natural, my lord. No one people this, no separation,
True. So we
just want to hail up all Bobo Shanties internationally, Segway, doing, a living sacrifice works, Hail up all the angels, my Lord and Empress.
All right, so let me see something. It's a call out. Okay, now try one more time.
True. Please, Black Truth Radio, exercise some little patience. Everything will go on still. You could just take this little moment to call in your brother, call in your sister, make them hear Segway. Yeah, man, a real black professor is about to be on the scene, for real.
True. Give thanks. And even next Monday is the memorial, I believe, is June the 13th. Next Monday will be actually the memorial of the transition of Walter Rodney, so just to let ones know, okay, we had to dial in so we know that we're in effect, no?
Greetings. Finally, a message sender again for us, the Kwayanas.
My lord, hang up. It's the answer machine, my lord. It's the answer machine.
Please leave your name and your number. Kindly repeat the number.
My lord, you can have it.
After the tone, please record your message. When you are finished, you can hang up or press pound for more options.
Yeah, pardon my Lord and Empress. We hung up, but then we also hung up on Prophet Kwame. Please call in. I'm not sure if you within the range to hear this.
To leave a callback number, press 1. To send your message now, press 2. To replay, press 3. To add to your message, press 4. To erase and re-record, press 5. To leave a callback number, press 1. To send your message now, press 2. To replay, press 3. To add to your message, press 4. To erase and re-record, press 5.
No, the wrong one.
To leave a callback number, press 1. To send your message now, press 2. To replay, press 3. To add to your message, press 4. To erase and re-record, press 5. Goodbye.
Yes, pardon my Lord and Empress. Some technical difficulties on the side. We also saw Prophet Kwame hand raised. Run some night Congo order. Then we're gonna. All right, Prophet Kwame.
Yeah, my lord.
All right, Baba Eusi. Okay, give thanks. All right, we give thanks for having you. We're live on the air now, so if you go, give thanks for having you on the program. You know, we was trying to get you on Can you please just introduce yourself to ones who may not be familiar with you? Well, you can send your greetings to the people.
Yeah, my lord, I can't hear nothing.
Okay, hold on one second. We're trying to work out the volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're experiencing some technical difficulties on this side, so just pardon.
All Black Truth Radio listeners, please pardon us for this, minor interruption. Please don't feel no way. Yeah.
Yes, Baba Eusi, is it a way you can talk a little louder or turn up the microphone? I think your telephone is a little bit low. All right. Yes, I hear you. Prophet Kwame, you hearing better?
Yeah, very low. Mr. Kwayana, blessed love, my lord. Yeah, the phone is still very low. Me, I can't hear the I please. Yeah, I don't know what we can do, but the world wants to hear. The world wants to hear the royal elder. So please, we can't hear you, my lord.
Okay. What we can probably try to do is call him back through the Skype. So, Baba, Mr. Eusi Kwayana, do you mind if we call you right back? Okay, we'll call you right back, brother. Thanks.
Yes, my Lord and Empress, I'm listening out there in the airwaves, the black teachment is about to go on, so don't run no way. I know the game's all on right now. Don't worry about the Heat, the Mavericks, that's going to be there still. Don't worry about what's going on out in the streets right now. That's going to be there still. Ain't nothing going away, but this education is about to go on this evening. Please, pay some extra attention.
It's Blog Talk, so one should be, they familiar with Blog Talk. Because Blog Talk, we always have some kind of technical difficulties with Blog Talk. But we give thanks same way, for the forum. We're going to call them, we're going to dial out through Skype and try it that way.
True.
So the call has been established.
More time we need a sponsorship for Bobo Santi Radio in Africa, You say 24/7 Naya Bingi, Daniel #1 band in all the land, with the 7 priests on the golden altar of Melchizedek,
Yeah, his number is on there. We just got to try to bring it back on. Mr. Kwayana, do you hear us? Okay, I believe he should be Mr. Kwayana. Okay, it looks like.
I know, please, Jaja, just do some more reasoning. I'm going to call you right forward. I'm going to try and make a call offline, see what's happening. I'm going to call forward in 5 minutes' time, all right?
All right, yes, sir. We're going to run some bingy. Meanwhile.
Blessed love, God.
message sender again for us, Kwayana. Please leave a message after the beep. Please leave your name and your number. Kindly repeat the number. Santi Simon. Go ahead.
All right, blessed. We see Baba. Yeah, with the third one, and then also blessed love. We're back on the air. We see if we're gonna bring in our co-host as well. Honorable Prophet Kwame, Mr. Kwayana. Okay, his call is dropped. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Honorable Prophet.
Yes, God. Yes, my God. Just some little technical difficulties.
Yeah, man.
Black News Radio, don't feel no way. The elder's about to call in. I did just speak to my dad, and he's about to call in, you know. So just get out your pen and your notebooks and get ready for taking class, you know.
We see a couple of numbers. I'm not sure if it's him, but it's not the number that we have. I'm not. Is he going to call from a different number or the same number?
Wait, hold on here. It should be from the 619 area code, my God.
Okay, we saw the 619, but the hand is down. You can scroll down and see if you see his contacts on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just want to take the calls in, and you know.
Okay. Baba Kwayana, Mr. Kwayana. That's it, Mr. Kwayana. We see his number. We unmuted him. Okay, on the top now. Mr. Kwayana, bless the love.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
One love.
One love. All right, yes. Excuse us for the technical difficulties. Give thanks for having you on the program. It's truly an honor.
I am honored to be invited.
Okay. And yes, we was letting ones know your long tenure within the field of activism. Even as a start, I would like to know what drove you as a young man to get involved in the struggle for the people.
Well, because I was simply one of the people and feeling everything that was around me, you know. And that began in the 1940s, before many of you could have been born.
Yes.
It was just after the Second World War that I became directly involved in that total struggle.
Okay.
I'd say from about 1947.
Okay. And was Marcus Garvey influence on you during your earlier life?
Not at that point.
Not at that point.
When Marcus Garvey came to Guyana, I was about 11 years old.
Wow.
And I heard the big people talking about it and singing, you know. Keep cool, you fool, and hear what Garvey says.
Love that.
But I had another indirect influence because some of the people that I worked with and honored afterwards I found out were Garveyites. Every time I go to a part of the country and I speak and then go to the back of the hall, somebody will say, you know, I'm a Garveyite. And that happened in several parts of Guyana.
Yeah.
And chief among them were the Jordanites. The Jordanites were an African Ethiopian type of religion. They wore long white robes, beards and staffs, and they kept Sabbath. And they were very foremost in the opposition to Mussolini's invasion of Ethiopia. In those days, they were very, very strong. I was a child then in 1935, as I said. But their tradition went on, and I used to go to the street corners and listen to them, wherever they are. Wherever Jordanite's talking, I have to be there and listen to them. There were men and women. And one would be preaching the word, and the sister sitting at the table with the Bible, and you would call on her and say, "Sister, give me a song there." And when she read out a piece of scripture, he would expound it, you know, the preacher. There were several of them. It was a very strong movement. They were so strong that during the Second World War, Moses and Aaron, their elders, were interred. They were interned by the British governor for the duration of the war. They did not risk having them on the streets, and that's a piece of history that is not known. You know, that is, nobody says that.
Yeah.
But I know, I remember when they were released, the governor was a man named Gordon Letham, and he announced their release. He said some venerable-looking men with beards came to him about this problem, and in a little while they were released back to the flock.
So were they actually, were the Jordanians actually from Africa, or were they like people from Ghana who?
They were. All of us were. Well, you know, they were African descendants.
Okay.
In Guyana, their foreparents had been through the enslavement and the apprenticeship and everything. And they just cut themselves off from the mainstream, the white churches.
Similar to the
Rock. Jordan had a vision, and he got up and he began to preach.
Okay, so that was their leader.
Yes.
Okay.
Nathaniel Jordan, I think.
Okay.
Mr. Kwayana, would you say that was the beginning of a black conscious movement in Guyana, or how would you say the black conscious movement?
It was not the first.
It wasn't the first. If you could give us a brief history of the Guyanese conscious black movement, how it started.
Well, with me, when I was about 3 or 4, a Congolese woman who lived in the sugar estate where I was born and was growing up, we call her Gang Gang. She looked at me. I used to play near to her. She used to sit in the sun on a bench. And as I played near to her, she'd call me and say, "Picnic, Congo a high nation." That was my first lesson.
Wow.
Picnic, Congo a high nation. I didn't understand what she was telling me this for. You know?
Congo,
yes, Gang. Yes, Gang. And every time we go play, Picnic, Congo a high nation. And it took me years to understand. She was telling me about African civilization. But by then, you know, she was old. And she didn't feel like talking a lot. A wiry, dark woman with a head tie. So that is the first shake-up I got, I would say. And the next big thing that I remember, my people belong to the Christian church like everybody else. The next big thing I remember was the Ethiopian war and the response of the Jordanites And workers in Guyana as well as in Trinidad, as you know, had a lot of Garveyite influence. And they were in the back dam, and they were the ones pushing strikes. And in the chance that they had, I've written this in something that I wrote, I interviewed some of these people later on, you know, a man named Daniel Pollard. I want to call his name because when I was a little child, we have gone to Buxton now, when I was, say, about 14 and so on, I knew they called him Dan Kunchin. His real name was Daniel Pollard. He had been to jail, and he had the reputation of being a bad man. I didn't know what his badness was about. The man had gone there for riot. They had imprisoned him from Lusignan because he made a white overseer dance behind a bomba band from the back dam in the estate right out to the front, to where the manager and the office were. And the name of that overseer was Lenny Hayes. And you know, he was prosecuted. I think he spent 6 months in jail. And I did not, we didn't know. We liked him. He was a nice man. He used to talk to us and so. But we didn't know why he was this bad man, as they called him. So that is how things came, you know, in a very vague and indirect way.
So how influential was Marcus Garvey movement in Guyana, the UNIA itself?
It was influential among all classes. It had a lot of middle class support. But as I said, I was 11 when he came there. I never knew the movement as such. We had in our house, my mother, they had pictures with black angels. And there was a man named E.A. Van Rossum, a bearded man. He was a poet. He used to write his poetry, print it, and go around and sell house to house. And I remember he used to read it and then sell it. The big people would buy it. I remember, "Oh, Africa, my motherland, downtrodden though thou art, yet thou shalt rise by God's command to play again thy part," you know. I remember hearing him read that. And those were the early stirrings. But the Honorable Marcus Garvey went there in 1936, I think. I have a friend who studied the whole of Garvey in Guyana. He's a professor on the East Coast. I can give you his name at some point. He's a young man, much younger than I, and he tracked down a lot of the organization, you know. He was doing a research along with Professor Robert Hill in Los Angeles.
True.
Who is a big Garvey student, you know.
Yes, yes.
So he was attached to him at that time and did that work, but he will be able to talk about that in his own right. In the 50s and the 40s and 50s and right down to the 70s, there was one friendly society in Victoria on the east coast of Demerara carrying the name UNIA up to then. In 1948, which is a year of note in Guyana because they shot 5 and more sugar workers, Indians, and the whole country was against it. The whole country protested. And I remember a woman who used to write poetry about the beauty of black people. Her name was Caroline Bourne. Bourne. I mention these names because they don't get written about, you know. And yet they're pioneers, but nobody remembers them.
True.
Yeah, no, unless you have a PhD or you're some professor or something, you quickly erase from the records, you know.
Yeah.
And I take deliberate pains to insert these people. Caroline Bourne was a great inspiration. She used to read a poem, "I love my dark color," and she went on from there. I don't remember all of it. She was a little businesswoman. She had a stall in the market. And it's stirring. So this is how I am seeing the remnants of Garveyism as a young person.
Yeah.
I was never in any of the movements or anything. Many, many years later on, I attached myself to a Rastafari group called, is it Third World? Was it? 12 Tribes.
The 12 Tribes.
The 12 Tribes. They had a headquarters at Victoria. And when I finished teaching on Sunday evenings, I would take a minibus, and go right up there and go through the whole service with them and then come back to Buxton. That was my routine on Sunday nights.
Approximately what year was that?
That was in the 70s and 80s.
Okay. True.
Late 70s, early 80s.
And when did you get involved with the Working People's Alliance? Was it in the early 70s?
From the start.
Okay, from the start.
From the beginning. You see, I was one of the founders of the People's Progressive Party, which was the United National Anti-Colonial Movement, founded in the year 1950. Chetty Jagan, LFS Burnham, Martin Carter, Rory Westmus, J.P. Lachman Singh, and others. Janet Jagan, of course, his wife from Chicago. And I was there. So that was founded in 1950, and then things began to happen politically.
What sort of accomplishments did you guys get from that time, from the 1950s, going to 51, 50, 52, 53? What sort of works were the guys doing in them times there?
That was not cultural work. That was political work direct. Went around the whole country organizing people and getting people united under the banner of one political party of the working people. And that was well done. The LFS Burnham was not there to begin with. He came just as we were forming the party. And he was made chairman. He was a Guyana scholar and a lawyer. Chetty Jagan was a dentist, studied in the United States of America. So these are people returning back home, with profession,
Yeah.
And that is what the masses wanted on their side. I was very active, but I was a teacher. I was nothing. I was known.
Oh, my lad, you're a great something, my lad, from that time,
I was nothing. I never went to school abroad in my life. But they had gone abroad and studied. I had to go through the primary school system. My father died when I was 13. So I didn't have any what they call back-ins, and I'm not sorry about it. I was able to steep myself in the society to which I belong thoroughly.
True.
You conquer through the tough times.
So how did, if you mind me asking, how did they work with the People's Progressive Party spill over into the Working People's Alliance? And can you give us a history?
It's a long story. We have many miles, many bridges to cross before we get there.
Please, Mr. Kwayana, make we cross those bridges in the brief amount of time that we have. Please educate us. We are open ears.
The first bridge was the 1953 general election. The first one, the second one, to be held after the Second World War, but the one in which they introduced the ministerial system, colonial ministerial system, and of course adult suffrage. It was only in 1953 that everyone at 21 was able to vote. And so it was a landmark election. So our aim was to unite the people first of all, and then go for independence. And I wanted us to go for independence as a united people, because we have, apart from Africa, the native people, the indigenous people, like the Indians, the so-called North American, Native Americans, they are called Amerindians. But they are the indigenous people. They are there. All that time they were entirely outside of politics. They used to have the Europeans use them as they wanted and then cast them aside and left them to the missionaries. They used to have them hunting runaway slaves and paying bounties. And after we self-emancipated ourselves, our foreparents, they cast the Amerindians aside in reservations. We had no more use for them. And up to now, they live in what we call the interior of the country. They do not abound in any coastal villages, which is where the population of Guyana still is, on the coast, stretching along a coastline of 270 miles. They are not to be found there except in little pockets. And that's their destiny. And then, so in 1953, we had some arguments before the election. I have to say that in 1952, I was sent abroad for the first time as a delegate representing this People's Progressive Party at a conference in Europe, the Congress of the Peoples for Peace in Vienna. In 1952, it began in December 1952 and went into January. Now this is the first time I'm leaving the country, and I'm sent to the as a delegate to that peace conference. Passed through London for the first time and had to represent. Well, I was the only one from Guyana there. And the other people from the Caribbean were from Cuba. This was before Castro. And there were a lot of Latin Americans, so I was in a Latin American delegation of 17. Well, sometime before that, sometime after that, we argued in the party, and my position was, I said, look here, I knew the country well. I was not a professional, I was a grassroots person. I lived in the middle of a poor section of the village. I never lived in an exclusive housing area or anything like that. All around me was poverty. All we had is a little, schooling from the primary school. I never went to a high school. Never went to a high school. But I was able to open a high school in 1956.
Rastafari.
Bless the eye.
Glorify, Royal Elder.
That's another story, but I was arguing, let us not fight to win these elections, because I understood the manipulation of the colonizers and how they did here and there, you know. I paid a lot of attention to the Indian independence movement in 1947. In the village where I live, there was something called the Indian National Congress, set up by the Indians, and I joined it. They called me an associate member. But it was supporting Gandhi and Nehru and these people fighting for independence for India. So I was part of that. The People's Progressive Party had not yet been formed, the one I was telling you about. So I said, look, I know this country, the people are not fully united. Chedi Jagan had won an election in 1947 as an independent, with the support of a lot of us younger people. He is Indian. We supported. He won. He did a magnificent job from 1947 to 1953, representing all the people. He was one of the first representatives to give equal representation to all parts of Guyana. I said, you know what we want is about 8 people like that in there, and that will, for the next term, 5 years, that can unite the country. But right now, the country is united, but not with a lot of trusting one another, a lot of suspicion. You may know the kind of thing I'm talking about. One racial group suspicious of the other, competing. The British had us in competition.
Yeah.
You know, we need to have a strong opposition fighting these people for another so many years, and then we can talk about winning. But we can win now. I told him, I said, look, we can win right now, but I think we should not. Well, the vote went against me. 2 of us voted for that motion, Martin Carter, the poet, and I. And the whole majority said, no, if we're fighting to win. Which is the general thing, but you ought to look ahead sometimes.
That's true.
Well, we did win. 6 of us became ministers. I became a minister of communications and the works. And after 133 days, the government was suspended. The constitution was suspended, taken away. The ministers were dismissed. They said they were trying to make Guyana into a communist state subservient to Moscow. And that was it. They landed the troops from England, the Black Watch, the Welsh Fusiliers and others, and swarmed the country with troops, expecting some riot which never took place until years after. I was among those who were first detained by the British. Martin Carter, Ajoda Singh, Bali Lachman Singh, Rory Westmus, and I, along with a brother named Sidney Cotain and Sahadio, we were picked up in the market in a sugar estate. We were giving out some handbills, invited into the police station, and that was it. We didn't see our homes until about nearly 4 months after.
Serious.
Nothing, no offense. They had nothing to charge us with. But when they suspended the Constitution, they had this emergency law under which the governor was free to detain anybody. I remember what my detention order read like. So they took us up, put us in a Sugar Estate police station. That is Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, telling us nothing. But the radio was on and we hear it on the BBC Saturday night that we had been held. This time the two front leaders, Jagan and Burnham, are traveling, protesting against the suspension of the Constitution. At that time they had no independent African country. They went to Egypt, they went to India, and they went to England protesting and so on. So we were put up for safekeeping. I don't know if your audience is interested because we can't finish this story tonight.
True.
The detention order read like this. They woke me up about 3:30 one Monday morning from the lockup, marched me down a corridor of the New Amsterdam police station, and there was the officer sitting at his desk, a white police officer, and he read the order to me from the governor. And it's not me alone, it's 5 of us are going to get this order. Whereas I am satisfied with respect to, my name was Sidney King then, that in order that, and whereas I'm satisfied with respect to Sidney King, and by virtue of the powers vested in me by Her Majesty's government, that in order to prevent him acting in a manner prejudicial to public safety and order, he should be detained. I, Sir Alfred Savage, hereby order and direct that is said so-and-so be detained at a place in the colony which I shall from time to time appoint. Well, you're gone, you know.
For 4 months.
Gone. You're in custody there.
Serious.
And they traveled with us about 120 miles to the American base at Atkinson Field Airport. My left wrist was handcuffed to a police sergeant sitting next to me in the back seat of something like a Jeep. And
that time there
was
excuse me, Mr. Kwayana, that time there was when the eyes was locked up for that 4 months. Were ones in the community in Guyana aware of it? What were they doing in terms of taking action during that time when they know that the eyes was in lockup?
They were doing a lot, and that is why we weren't kept longer. But there was an emergency law. No more than 5 persons could gather together. No public meeting, no demonstration, no procession other than a funeral procession was allowed.
And this was all given from the British colonialists. This was one saying that.
Before independence.
Them early oppressors.
Great democratic nation, man. They never exported democracy.
So, if you mind me asking, when did you meet Walter Rodney? Was it
I met Walter Rodney first in about 1964. He was in Tanzania teaching.
Okay.
And he used to come home at holiday time. And at that time, we had an organization called African Society for Cultural Relations with Independent Africa. We call it ASCRIA. It was in touch with a lot of North American Africans like Mamadou Lumumba and my wife I got to know from 1968 and a whole set of others. But one of the things we did, there was a chap somewhere in the United States called Ahmed Evans. He was an activist, and we read in the papers that he was sentenced to death by an all-white jury. So we could not take it. We went and picketed the U.S. Embassy. And that is how some people here heard of us because of that. And the links began. But so Walter Rodney used to come home to see his mother, and he would always come to Austria to see us and look around and, And then the next time I met him was in 1970, year-end 1970. Mr. Burnham, who was the Prime Minister, invited me to go on his delegation to the Lusaka Non-Aligned Conference in Zambia. Wow. The Non-Aligned Conference in Lusaka. I was not a government official. I was chairman of the Guyana Marketing Corporation because they had asked me to go there. I was teaching, we had our own secondary school, which I said we opened in Buxton. I was very happy teaching, but they asked me to go there, so I used to spend a lot of time there and continue my teaching. It was not a big job because I was afraid of big jobs. It was just, you're supposed to preside on the board of the Guyana Marketing Corporation. But I asked for an office there so that I could get the organization shaken up. It wanted a lot of shaking up, and we did manage along with the workers, and so we had a lot of worker participation, and we did manage to shake up the GMC. So I went to this Lusaka conference, and on the way there I passed through Kwayana. They had some trouble with me because everybody else was traveling first class, and I told them, no way, I'm not traveling first class. I said, look, the whole plane for me is first class, so I am traveling economy. I had to fight for the right to travel economy, brother.
Wow.
And it's cheaper. It's cheaper. So I passed through Kwayana. I'd never seen Kwayana. I went to Kwayana. I wanted to see what the Africans were there, like under French rule. It was quite an experience. But that's another whole story again. So when we after the Lusaka conference was finished, there was a state visit to Tanzania, headed at the time by Emolimu Nyerere, Julius Nyerere, and Walter Rodney was teaching there at the time. So when they went to the state dinner, I took the chance of visiting Walter Rodney at his home. And he invited some students in to meet me, and we had some, a little gathering. And that was it. That's the second time I met him.
And this is before...
So
this is before the forming of the Working People's Alliance too, right?
Oh, yes. He is not home yet.
Okay, yes.
He's not home yet. That is 1970. We went back home. I broke with the government of the day, Mr. Burnham's government. I started to see corruption taking place, and I spoke out against it, and they were very hostile. I took some of the ministers before the tribunal for corruption. Well, this is something bad to do. I'm not supposed to do that. Because we are all Africans, I'm supposed to, shut up and let the corruption overtake the nation. not this one. I wasn't doing that. And I opposed it. I was very angry because I put myself at his disposal voluntarily. I did not ask for a job. They asked me to be a minister. I said, no, I don't want to be a minister. And I did whatever I could to help the movement and the government. And then now you are, encouraging corrupt people. And when I complain, you tell me it's not true. And I say, I'm finished with that. So that was
actually that.
There are a lot of gaps in this story. They are not intentional. It's just from the questions you ask,
True.
I can answer them direct.
True.
Yeah, Mr. Kwayana, we have a lot of questions, but same way, whatever the eye would like to reason, same way, because, a freedom of speech, same way, any works the eye would like to get out there, any sound the eye would like to get out there, because this radio program is heard worldwide, my God.
See, what I did not get to say was that in 1955, the original party that had won this election in 1953 split. It split over who should be the leader at that point. Jagan had been the leader because he pioneered the struggle. Burnham and some others felt that he should be the leader. The argument was that he was smarter and more diplomatic and all of that. He was trained in England and Jagan was trained in the USA. But I felt Jagan was the right person because he hadn't done anything. You can't just break up a movement like that by rivalry. I have no patience with this fight for leadership,
True.
It disgusts me. It gets me very disgusted, so... Mr. Burnham went off and started the PNC, People's National Congress. I remained with Jagan for a long time, and then we began to argue whether the country should join West Indian Federation, whether the PPP. The majority of people now in the PPP are Indian. Even at that time, all the time, because they had the largest single numbers in the country. And I broke with them on the question of federation, because Jagan said he could not support federation because the Indians were against it. The party had been for federation, but when the time came to take the step, C.L.R. James came there lecturing and all of that, but when the time came to take this step, C.L.R. James didn't come until some years later, but he had gone home working with Eric Williams. I don't know if you know that. He was editing the newspaper for Prime Minister Eric Williams and the People's National Movement, the PNM of Trinidad. C.L.R. James was editing the Nation. And taking off a shirt here. He used to come to Guyana to cover cricket. He's a great cricketer. And so we met and he invited me to Trinidad. I spent 2 weeks with him in 1959. So I broke with the PPP, not on any leadership struggle, but on the question of federation, to join. I was in favor of joining the West Indian Federation, the Caribbean Federation, the English-speaking countries. That is what was on the map. The begin with. And by that time, because of the split, Jagan said he is not joining. 90% of the Indians were against it. But I became an independent on my own. It was an election in 1957, and now this party that was united in 1953 fought as two factions, as two parties in 1957, after the emergency was lifted. A more backward constitution, but they fought it, and the PPP won against the PNC. I fought as an independent. The people on the East Coast said, you got to fight. I said, look, I'm not going in this election. I said, no, you got to go. I went and I proposed federation. I made federation my platform because we believed in the unity of the Caribbean nation as a first step to anything. Because each of the countries in the Caribbean is a mini state. But all of us together, we can hardly fill a city in the United States. So that was our position. A few of us, we lost that election. Then sometimes later on, because the issue had become racial, I joined the PNC. And this is a very interesting part. I joined Mr. Burnham's party now. And I said, if Jagan could say, this is what he wrote, and I'd like it, I challenge anyone to deny it. I have the document. In a Congress paper in 1956, he wrote, the Indians of British Guyana, feeling as they do a sense of national oppression, are almost 100% against federation. Now, I said, well, if you are a Marxist and you can talk like that, I will organize Africans. I will organize black people. And it's for that reason that I joined the PNC. No other reason. I joined Mr. Burnham's party. I never fought under Mr. Burnham's, for a seat under the Burnham's party. He never went into the government. I was just there as a whip, you know. My whole point was to make sure that corruption did not develop.
Sure.
I had gone to Africa. I forgot to tell you. Oh no, that's later. It's about the same time, 1964. When the 1964 elections came up, I supported them. I was not a candidate. I refused to be a candidate. Mr. Burnham wanted to send me to the United Nations to groom me to become the representative of Guyana at the United Nations.
Okay.
I said, I have no use for that. I am teaching. I am going no place like that. My work is at home. You think it interests me? So he said, well, will you go to Africa to introduce me to the African leaders? I said, well, I'll do that. So it was December holidays, you know. And he had to get a visa for me to pass through the United States to go to Africa. At the United Nations, I addressed the African group. The African group were very pro-Jagan because Jagan had all the talk, you know, all the big talk in his mouth, and so on, you know, very radical speech, pro-Soviet and all of that. And most of the Africans were like that, but they didn't understand what was happening in Guyana. They heard that Burnham had formed a coalition with a party headed by a Portuguese man named Gar, a businessman. And by joining with the GAR, they got a majority of the seats and were able to form the government. The British government did that deliberately to change the voting system to proportional representation instead of first past the post. First past the post is the one in which you fight in constituencies, and who comes first wins. It's like a race. Nobody else can win. On a proportional representation, the total vote can be shared out proportionately, so that if you get 51%, and two other parties can get 59% or 49%, then the 51% would form a government. The previous system was very unjust to African constituencies. When you work it out, this is what used to be happening. The PPP, which had the bulk of Indian support, used to be able to win a seat for about every 6,000 votes. A party that represented the Africans needed something like 19 to 20,000 votes to win a seat because of how the constituencies were organized. So that proportional representation corrected that. It didn't do anything better more than that. It corrected that representation flaw due to geography and how people are spread out and so on. So I went to Africa and I, on his behalf, introduced him to all the African leaders. I went to 9 African countries in that visit. At his expense. I never bought a ticket to travel out to Ghana.
Wow, what a blessing.
I couldn't. So I went on the understanding, and my base was in Ghana, because Nkrumah had sent people to Guyana, and some of them had met me. There was a man from my village working with him named Ras Makonnen, T.R. Makonnen. He was a Buxtonian and a Guyanese. And Nkrumah had sent a whole team of them to try and make peace between Jagan and Burnham. But it failed. But some of them and I became very, very close. There was a Ghanaian who came, Nana, Kobina, and Ketsia. And I learned a lot from him about Akan religion and Akan culture. We talked a lot, and I met him when I went to Ghana again.
Please tell us some of your experiences in Ghana, my lord, in them earlier times.
Well, Ghana was a leading country at the time. I understand it is getting there again. You know, Nkrumah was a very strong Pan-Africanist. He wanted Africa to unite. He wanted a continental government, all the countries coming together to have a union government for trade, education, defense, everything. He wrote a very important book, Africa Must Unite. On the night of Ghana's independence, I was not there. Dr. Jagan and Mr. Burnham were both invited in 1957, March 6th, I think. They went there. I was not there, but I know that on that night Nkrumah said the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is tied to the total liberation and unity of Africa.
That's 1957, huh?
1957, Independence Night. That is his message. He said Ghana is free forever.
Love to hear that speech, up to this day.
Yeah.
True. And I pray I'm open up the lines as well. Just being that we have a couple of hands raised. If anyone listening, if you want to ask a question, you can call in 805-285-9712. Call-in number is 805-285-9712. Then push the number 1. All right.
And all angels, please remember, we are African tradition, so please call with a great respect for the elder.
My Lord.
Don't impose respect on anybody. I mean, you have to deserve it.
So, my Lord, please, elder, you deserve it greatly. We are dealing with African tradition, so it's not an imposing, it's something that's in our blood. From where we are born, we have to remember that great tradition. Respect thy elder,
Respect to you, too.
Caller from the 415 area code. Bless the love you on the air. 415.
Marcus,
Rastafari.
Give thanks for all said and done. Give thanks for all the front runner. Give thanks for the elder. And the respect for... Huh?
Is that from Atlanta?
No, my lord. Cisco.
Yes.
The 415 is the beer.
Yeah, go through, my lord.
And with a lot of respect, I was calling for some clarification on Jagan and Burnham. Was there any outside influence involved in the separation?
Plenty. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. But I feel that
Go ahead.
I feel they should have known better. You see, I was coming to the point when, in 1961, a very learned brother, my elder, a scientist, natural scientist, and very, very learned man, came back home, H.H. Nicholson, and we got together with some young people and studied the situation, started lecturing, and we put forward a plan saying that, you remember they had a thing here about Africans wanting a homeland, wanting a part of the country, like the Republic of New Africa and so on. Then he put forward a similar thing, and I said, we can't go there right away. We have to try for us to unite the country. So what we put out was to solve the racial problem. It was getting very sharp and very tight by joint premiership. You have 2 prime ministers from the leading races, majority races, and you have a civil rights body for minorities, like Portuguese and Chinese and so on, Amerindians. So that is what we put forward. I insisted on a joint premiership because I know then it could have worked. And when the election was finished and the results came out, one had 42-point-something% and the other had 40-point-something%.
Wow.
So I said the people voted for that. The people wanted both of you to come together and run the country. Anyway, this became a great thing. They began to call me a racist because they talk as if I invented the race problem. I did not. Race problem was there. And we all know who exploited it, you know. But
Sure.
I was labeled that because we said joint premiership, and if this thing can't work, we avoid bloodshed, divide the country.
Right,
give the Indians a part and a part for free nation, whoever wants to be mingling together.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I'm listening.
No, my other question was the choosing of the flag colors. Whose choice was that? Burnham or Jagan?
I don't deal with flag. I can't remember. Which flag was that? The party flag or the nation's flag?
No, the golden arrowhead.
The golden arrowhead. That was in Burnham's time.
Okay.
I think they had a competition. And somebody put up that, you know?
Okay.
As a design.
Did Burnham ever meet his Imperial Majesty in front of the CI?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We met in Addis Ababa. And I was there.
True.
I met His Imperial Majesty the same time. But when I
Holy
had
Emmanuel, Celestii, Jah, Rastafari. Mr. Kwayana, I never know you make the Emperor. What?
Yes, I met the Emperor.
What a great revelation.
Give that man, yeah.
I'm among the blessed who met His Imperial Majesty in his time at his
tell us
time.
how it was to meet the Emperor.
Can you touch upon that a little bit?
One thing, I went to Ethiopia twice. Once as this kind of forerunner, you know, when he asked me to go to Africa. Ethiopia was one of the places I went to, and I spoke to the Mr. Richard Talbot, who was a Guyanese and was in charge of the African publications for His Imperial Majesty. Richard Talbot. And I did not see His Imperial Majesty then. I didn't even ask to, because I talked to the foreign minister and people like that, you know. And I spoke to the theological college, students of the theological college, and the Abuna, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. I met him.
How were you received by the Abona and by such?
Oh, beautiful, wonderful, wonderful, very, very friendly and courteous, and you know, he talked with me a long time.
Good, thanks.
And your second trip to Ethiopia?
The second time was when I went after the Lusaka delegation, after the Lusaka conference. I was talking about it earlier. We went to places like Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, and where else? Uganda and Tanzania. I think that was it. We went to those African countries.
Doing pure Pan-African work.
Yes, that is.
And then can you explain to us?
In Lusaka, where Dr. Kaunda was the president at the time, and I interviewed all of the liberation groups that were based in Lusaka. On behalf of Mr. Burnham, I interviewed all of them and found out exactly what they needed. This is how he was able afterwards to give so much a year to the liberation struggle. You get it?
True.
Because I found out that they were getting arms from the east and so on. But the big problem was when the arms landed in one country, how to get them from there to Mozambique. They had no money to do that.
Can you explain to us or describe to us your first impression of His Majesty?
And it's the first time and the only time I ever met a monarch, you know. You can understand what a monarch. He was very, very well composed. Very, very well composed. Small in size, very gracious. They had a big rumor that if you were to talk to him, you'd have to go on the floor and bend down several times. Total nonsense. Total nonsense. It was all over the place. And he was very influential on the continent.
Sure.
Everybody liked to get him on this. He used to settle a lot of disputes. He was a kind of elder figure, you know.
Sure.
When two countries were not getting on, they were trying to get His Imperial Majesty involved to make peace. That was his role. So although he did not have a big radical program, he also supported the liberation struggle there. Ghana, Ethiopia was the only country that had an arms factory. You follow?
Okay.
Yeah.
They had an arms factory.
Yeah.
And he gave total support to the liberation struggle from there. And that is where they built the head office of the Organization of African Unity in Addis Ababa.
That's
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more question. It's a little bit about picking in the individual. Kofi, the freedom fighter.
Yeah.
Can you speak of Kofi and your influence on him, or him on you, if you have any?
If I have any what?
No, the influence on Kofi to you. You learn about him, or the first time you got the knowledge of him, or the
I was the first of our generation to write about Kofi. In 1963, which was the bicentenary of the uprising of 1763, an economist named Lloyd Best from Trinidad was in Guyana. He was working in Jagan's office as a UN representative, you know, UN specialist. And he invited me to write an article on the Burmese uprising of 1763. And this is how I came to do it.
Okay.
So I was the first person in our time to write about Kofi. So the Kofi uprising in 1763 took place even before Haiti, but it did not last as Haiti lasted. It took place in 1763 and Haiti was in 1794 and later in 1804. But the part of Guyana closest to Suriname, the most eastern part of Guyana, has the name Berbice. Guyana is divided coming from the east to the west into Berbice, Demerara, and Essequibo. So we're talking about Berbice, the one to the east, closest to Suriname. And that is where the enslaved people on plantation Magdalenenburg on the Kanya River began their uprising on the 23rd of February, 1763. And in quick time, they had the Dutch running. It spread like wildfire. The leaders were Kofi. It's really Kofi, K-O-F-I, Kofi. Those are Ghana people.
From Ghana.
Yes, but they corrupted it into Kofi, you know. There's another name, Akabre, and another name, Accra. Accra. And another name, Atta.
Like Professor Atta Mills,
Atta,
current president of Ghana.
Accra, Kofi, and Akabre. And they had some wonderful teamwork. And the Berbice River runs through the middle of Berbice, and they were able to liberate the whole of the eastern part of that river. And the Dutch escaped to the capital in the mouth of the river somewhere. Let's see what's the name of that place. It's not Crab Island. Anyway, Kofi made an offer by letter, got one of the white women they captured to write in the language, and tell Van Hoogenheim, who was the governor, look here, we don't want any more shedding of blood. You take that part and let us keep this part. And he signed himself governor of Berbice.
Wow.
He said we can divide it like that. You stay over there and we stay over here. And then he wrote the words, but we shall not be slaves again. But we shall not be slaves again.
True.
So it was...
No, of course, was any circulating about that? Any books in writing circulating about that?
Scholars came and wrote books about it afterwards. I have a copy of the article I wrote. It was printed in a thing called the New World Independence Issue. I had written it for the newspaper, and then when independence came, they asked me to revise it and print it. George Lamming and Jan Carew edited that Guyana independence issue. I have one copy of that. There's an article also by Walter Rodney called Masses in Action. It has an article by Fitzpatrick, 40 Years of Politics in Our Land. It has an article by Lamming. It has a lot of people, I think, a lot of people.
Okay, true.
But I don't know where you can get it.
All right. Danny, Chow. Any more questions?
No, Freedom, let's be listening here. I do give thanks for all he said, and, glorify the work that's being done and all the knowledge I've been learning about, and, I give thanks. Any book you'd recommend besides the Masses in Action, I can pick up right now, like in Barnes & Noble or even on the Amazon.com. That's
not the Masses in Action. That's not the book. Walter Rodney's book is called History of the Guyanese Working People. That's a book on Guyana, History of the Guyanese Working People.
Okay.
1981, he wrote it. It was published in 1981, rather, after he passed away, his killing, his assassination in 1981, by John Hopkins Press. And you know about how Europe underdeveloped Africa. That was published by Howard University, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. His first book was Groundings with My Brothers in Jamaica. Groundings with My Brothers. That was the Jamaica experience when he met the Rastafari and used to meet them frequently and exchange opinions and talk about African history and civilization and so on. That's why they banned him from Jamaica. He went to the Black Writers Conference in Canada, and before he could go back, they deemed him a prohibited immigrant.
Wow.
And I tell you, the Kingston blew up because of that. People got so mad. They burned buses and all sorts of things, Jamaica to a place. So those are some books. I have a number of books too, but I don't know. I can send you this by email, but the History of the Guyanese Working People. There's also a Walter Rodney website.
Okay.
If you Google Walter Rodney Foundation, if you Google Walter Rodney Foundation, you'll get their website. They have some good stuff there. That is run by his wife and children in Atlanta, Dr. Patricia Rodney.
How is the Rodney family, my lad, at this present date? How is all his offspring?
Oh, he has a son called Shaka, who is in Jamaica. He runs a business restoring documents, rescuing documents and old books and so on, bringing them up. I don't know too much about it, but I stayed with him a little when I was passing through. Then he has two daughters in Atlanta. One is Asha, she's a lawyer. One is Kanini, she's a medical doctor. His wife was a professor at Morehouse. She did her PhD
True.
That's my wife offering me some water.
Not
Let me just make a quick announcement. Pardon. For those who's listening online, be sure to call in before 11 o'clock, before the hour. We have about 4 minutes to go. Call in number 805-285-9712. 805-285-9712 to continue listening. Blessed.
Yes, and he has one doctor. His wife was a professor at Morehouse in charge of public health. She did a PhD. After he passed away, she came there and continued her studies. She did a PhD. And she's an authority on public health. She did a lot of, you'll see it on the website. They honored her the other day when she retired from Morehouse.
Is she all right? How's her health? Everything good with her?
Yeah, they seem quite well. I'm in touch with them. Oh, they gave me an honor last year. They have an annual Rodney session on his birthday. March 23rd every year. And last year, my granddaughter represented me, a little girl. She took the thing and made a speech.
Wow! Oh my goodness!
Very proud
serious?
of her. That's Kofi's daughter, or son Kofi's
yeah, man!
daughter.
Oh!
Yeah.
Is that Princess? You have Princess Tigis or?
Huh?
Is Princess Tigis?
Tigis, yes.
The
An
granddaughter.
Ethiopian name. A granddaughter, Ethiopian name.
Yeah.
There are 4 of them. Kofi has 4 children.
So it was one of his princes that give you the this thing.
Yes.
The honoree. Oh wow, it's nice.
Sure. All right, so let me jump into the calls. One more. I see a 206 number. I'm trying to bring you on the air. 206. 206. Bless the love. Alright, just listening. 347-258. Blessed.
I know.
My Lord.
Give thanks.
My Lord, Majesty.
I know about Honorable Mugabe.
Say it again, Baba.
Yes?
I know about Honorable Mugabe.
Oh, the President Mugabe.
Yeah. I'm having a movement.
Well, you and I may not agree on that. He was a good friend of Walter Rodney. They were young men together. They were in touch and so on. But Zimbabwe, a lot of things are going on there. I have never been there. And I prefer to leave it at that. I do not approve of everything going on in Zimbabwe.
But what about Mugabe? How is he functioning? As a freedom fighter or what?
I have never been there. There are people who have been there who can talk with more authority. What I was saying is that I am concerned over a number of things going on there. I know people who lived there, went there to teach, set up a branch of a university there to push the country on, and it is their witness that I am relying on. I'm not relying on BBC or anybody for that information.
Okay.
But since I have not been there myself, I don't feel qualified to pronounce on it except to say that there are a lot of things I don't agree with. I don't agree with foreign countries bullying Zimbabwe either.
Okay.
And the sanctions and all of that, I don't agree with. But I don't agree with the reports that that leader himself, and I have the experience from Mr. Burnham, he is bullying his own people. And I say that as someone who has not been there. relying on people that I trust.
Is it a political? Is it a political front? Why they're being bullied, or what is it?
I beg your pardon?
Is it a political front why they're being bullied, or what?
And they have their own agenda, you know. European countries always have their own agenda. They're not interested in anybody's freedom. But when the leader of the country may have blundered in some ways to give them an opening, then, you know, they exploit it. The same thing is happening in Guyana. It happened in the times I was talking about, and it continued to happen. It's happening now. Guyana is no bed of roses. They have a man there, Mr. Jack Deo, who is president, and he is a dictator. No question of it. This is where they and Walter Rodney broke, you know, went on different roads, because Walter Rodney was for empowerment of the people in all respects and had no patience at all with this higher up kind of government. And that is where most of them have gone. Parted company with the masses that brought them to power and operating against them. Their problem, they don't have an easy problem, but if they would only put themselves out of the picture a little and say, give everyone a share in the government, things would be much easier. This fighting over who is the top, who is the best, and who is the baddest, and who is right to rule. I have no patience with it. But I am peculiar in that respect. I don't ask anybody to accept that.
A real honesty that, Mr. Kwayana. Mr. Kwayana, I would love to ask the guy a question. This is referring to the book of Rasta and Resistance, which I did get in 1989, and it's been just a great book that I've loved since that time. Just the one aspect I got from the book is that they were saying about Walter Rodney is what Walter Rodney would speak about concerning the emperor was more not on his spiritual aspect, but more on his accomplishments and, you know, what the emperor did, you know, for Ethiopia, what the emperor did for Africa. Could you please give us maybe a closer view with that, you know, being you did know the man and being that you two were brothers, you know?
Yeah, I can't do that offhand. I haven't looked at that book for some years. I wrote the introduction to that book, Rasta and Resistance by Horace Campbell, and it came out first. Horace Campbell knows Walter Rodney closer than I do at that period. I knew Walter Rodney from the time he came back very, very closely. Knew him before. When he visited at holiday time, he would drop in and, you know, keep in touch. But then he came back in 1974. We worked very, very closely together. And I think he would take the position that, you know, His Imperial Majesty was trying to carry out reforms in Ethiopia.
Most natural.
He introduced the first elections, but he is not a person to rush things. He was a gradualist, you know. He preferred the slow but sure way. Well, he's a man who had to fight wars, you know. I honor him for his resistance to the Italian invaders. His diplomacy his resistance to the Italian invaders, the way he represented Ethiopia abroad when they invited him to several European countries. They told him, they admitted that Ethiopia had Christian communities long before Europe. And he was able to represent that continent in a very dignified manner. When he went to the League of Nations, you know, he spoke with authority at the League of Nations. And he told them, I'm looking for help from the West, and if help does not come, the West will perish.
Gotcha.
And it did. Hitler had them on the run.
Strike
now
the
and now.
Ethiopia, the flame shall burn in Europe.
Yes?
Sure. And we have a caller we bring on the line as well. Pardon my lord and my lord. Bring on 954 area code. Bless the love.
That's Florida.
Caller from the 954-494. All right, probably just listening. All right.
Yes, that is what I can say offhand, you know.
So,
I can't pay a better tribute than to say that all the liberation movements of Africa in the decolonization period up to the last relied on Ethiopia and His Imperial Majesty for staunch support, including Mandela and all of them.
Yes. Mandela was given an Ethiopian passport and an Ethiopian name too when he was on the run. So, can you give us a history of some of the works that you and our Walter Rodney was working with, and even throughout the 70s, some of your works and activities with WPA?
Yes, well, you know, what I did at Walter's time was that as an older person, I put myself at the disposal of a younger political generation. That's how I saw it. That's how I see what I was doing, you know?
Sure.
He had very, very, very popular support from the masses of people of all races of Guyana. Look to Walter Rodney. If you hear anybody saying anything different, they don't know what they're talking about. I am a witness from the land, from there. And I see a lot of people, they had a set of people who set out to question whether Walter Rodney left any legacy. They say he left no legacy. The moment he died, the movement crumbled. That is nonsense.
Yeah.
That is total nonsense. Walter Rodney was assassinated in 1980. He was not assassinated because he was failing. You understand?
Sure.
He was assassinated because he was succeeding.
True.
He was succeeding in bringing the whole country together under this new force. And they felt they couldn't allow it. And after 1980, that party went on, and it was the most vibrant party in the country until they introduced fair and free elections in 1992. And things, for various reasons, people tried to regain their racial territory that they were in danger of losing. Very complex situation, you know. There are a lot of positives and negatives, as people would say, in that.
So was it work?
What we did together was groundings with the people. In small groups, in yards, bottom houses, people will come from all directions and discuss the political situation of the country, of the very community, of the village, and move on. Then there were big rallies. The biggest rallies since 1953 were those headed by Walter Rodney. Rallies at which people of all races stood up side by side and agreed on what was being said. This is no imagination. This is a witness from the movement talking. And I have been here since 1947, and I know what I'm talking about. I know the various
Thanks for such testimony.
I know the various phases of the movement, and I have no interest. I have a great interest in history and clarifying things. I don't have to make up things, you know.
Sure.
Make up something today, it's exposed tomorrow. Where are you? You lose your credibility. All I have is a little credibility. I don't have money, you know. I'm not going to risk that.
Well, you yourself was a witness, so you can testify.
Yeah, that's what I do.
So, was the Working People Alliance a political party or more of a grassroots type of organization?
It began as a grassroots organization, and it became a political party It began in 1974, the same year that Walter. It began before Walter returned, and then we came back and we looked around. We joined it, and then after 5 years, 1979, it became a political party under his guidance. Saw that the time was right.
Okay, so who was the main opposition against the movement itself, and why was he assassinated?
The government of the day.
Okay.
The government of the day was because it is they we were trying to remove.
What about the CIA, though, my lord? What was the CIA's influence in such revolution?
Always one thing that has to come out eventually by people from inside. I have heard not much about that. You know, they cover up the thing and then they declassify documents after a time.
Sure.
I don't think they classify that period yet.
Yeah, man. Them go get their judgment still, you know. They can't hide the truth, you know.
Yes, and they lie. They do lie. They lied on me. When I went to that 1952 conference in Europe and came back, I was stripped to the bone and searched.
Just this.
By the colonial government in Guyana. Stripped all my clothes and searched.
So what were they searching for?
That's what I asked them.
Searching for real question.
I see you searching for. What are you searching for? Arms? Bombs? I know there are more dangerous things.
What?
I said there are more dangerous things than arms. So I brought back some pictures. You see, I met a chap in Vienna at the conference from America, a white man, short white man named Stetson Kennedy. Stetson Kennedy, like Stetson Kennedy.
And part of the Kennedy family?
I have no idea.
So,
if you look up that name, Stetson Kennedy, you will find it. I Googled it once. He was from somewhere he was selling pictures of lynching in the United States of America. And I bought about a dozen of them.
Serious?
Huh?
Serious?
Yes, I bought about a dozen of them to take home and let people see the paradise of the United States of America.
Yeah.
You know, they seized everyone. And the white people branded me a racist. They said I was trying to foment hatred against white people. That's why I took them home. And they say that I brought back Russian money. I think they say 3,000 or 20,000. It's in my passport up to now. I brought back $300, which was payment for my ticket, because when the people sent my ticket, it never came. And Jagan had to buy the ticket from his pocket. So I went to the conferences at a place called the Financial Bureau, you know. And I applied for presented my ticket and asked them to pay it back. And that's what I took home. The Americans had some zeros, man. Some zeros.
So you were brought up on charges at the airport with these things, or they just confiscated it?
Confiscated what?
They just took that money there, or they brought you up on charges, or?
They did not take the money. They took the pictures.
Yeah.
The lynching pictures, you see? The pictures showing people being lynched in the United States.
Yeah.
And sent it to England to you know, just to wash them out on me, because I'm trying to stir up something.
Did they try to arrest you then, or they let you go?
Oh, when I came back?
Yeah, did they arrest you at the airport because of that?
At the airport, no, they let me go. I had to go home.
Okay, true.
They didn't keep me. They kept me about an hour or something like that, you know, searching everything. And then I was free to go.
There's some intimidation tactics.
Yeah. Well, they were afraid. They wanted to see what I had brought. By that time, I was well known, you know.
Yeah.
In the country, and they know where I stood, so they were searching for evidence of something.
True.
So when did Guyana get its independence?
1966.
Okay, 66.
26th of May, 1966.
And that was under Jagan?
That was under Burnham.
Burnham, okay. So was Burnham was a socialist?
Yeah, that's what he claimed to be. He nationalized 80% of the country's economic assets, you know. Nationalized bauxite and sugar and several other things. But that is nationalization is not socialism. But that's another matter.
Okay. So, as far as
it's a kind of state capitalism.
Pardon me?
I said they had a kind of state capitalism.
Okay.
That's what it was.
But was he involved in any of the revolutionary movements in Africa?
Very much.
Okay. Well, as far as sending troops there,
I told you. I mentioned that.
Yes, you mentioned.
Yeah, you were sending $100,000 a year.
Wow.
To the Liberation Committee in Tanzania. I wouldn't say on whose advice, because that's neither here nor there, but I told you I interviewed all the movements and found out what their needs were.
Sure. Was the Mau Mau part of one of the movements you interviewed?
No, they were not there at the time.
At the time, okay.
It was independent by that time.
Okay. All right.
When we were detained, remember I told you we were detained? 5 of us were detained at the American base?
Yes.
Yes.
So we had a hunger strike. We had a hunger strike, and part of the hunger strike was against the use of heavy bombers in Kenya against the Mau Mau.
True.
It would come on the radio.
The hunger strike go on how long, my lad?
It was 1953, 54.
It was in 1954. So how many days did you have to go? You did go for?
90. How long? What?
But you said a hunger strike.
Just 4 days.
It was 4 days. Okay.
4 days. Yeah.
Yeah, man, good thanks, you know.
I've had several of them.
So were they successful?
Well, how can I say? I don't know. Little things change. People get angry and so on. I can't say. That's not the point. The point is to register, you know, a spiritual resentment, you know.
True.
Resentment of the spirit and the flesh as well.
True. Spiritual pause.
Yes, Mr. Kwayana, the eye has had experience through the whole revolutionary times in Guyana. You know, really on a whole Pan-African level, internationally. It's the eye mentioned you did do works in Europe, throughout 9 countries in Africa, and as well in Guyana. Please, if there's any other word, sound, and power you would like to expand upon, you know, any other sound you would love to give, please, because, you know, the floor is open. We have to hear what you have to say, you know? Mr. Kwayana?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I was saying if you would like to expound on anything more, you know, concerning on your times from those earlier times in Guyana to going to the nine different countries in Africa as well as Europe. You've done an international work.
Speaking to this audience, well, Europe is I had one visit in Europe, one political visit in 1952, as I said, and I spent 6 weeks. After that, they invited me to Hungary, where I spent 6 weeks. But what I wanted to put in talking to United States audience is, in 1970, this organization, ASPRIA, held a conference, a Pan-African seminar in Georgetown, Guyana. We invited Pan-Africanists and black revolutionary activists. And we got representation from USA, from the Caribbean, from South Africa, present there. And it went very well. And after that, we set up a Pan-African Secretariat in Guyana, and it was headed by Brother Zolili from North California, and Mamadou Lumumba and all of them. You all know Baba down there?
The name sounds familiar, for real.
Yes, Baba, his brother. They were Mamadou Lumumba and Shango. They were expelled in January 1973 from the country. Close to Austria, and we had become an independent force. We had begun to attack the corruption of the ruling government, the PNC at the time, and so on. So the Pan-African Secretariat operated from Georgetown, covering the whole of the Western Hemisphere, the Caribbean, the USA, Suriname, Cayenne, and wherever we could reach. And we were preparing for the 6th Pan-African Conference. We had something called the Caribbean Liberation Steering Committee, and I was secretary of that. It had representatives from Trinidad, like Daga and Cambone. It had Tim Hector from Jamaica, from Antigua and others, Christian. From Grenada, Maurice Bishop. St. Lucia, Barbados itself, Bobby Clark. And eventually we were banned from we could not attend the conference because Mr. Burnham got the Tanzania government to declare that non-governmental organizations were not welcome. And that was very much against us, I would not have gone, but I was hoping that other persons who had never gone would be able to go. They thought I was going, but I had no intention of going.
So, can you give it?
My wife was responsible for working on the United States side of it, the delegations from the United States of America, and they came in strong numbers.
So, can you give us a history of Maurice Bishop?
No. No, not a history. Just a part history. These are young people, didn't grow up with them. You see what I mean?
True.
And so when people ask me about Walter Rodney and Morris Bishop and so on, I always warn them that these are not my guru match. These people were about, let me see. Walter Rodney was born in 1942. I was born in 1925.
Come on, you're that junior.
A decade and a half, you know?
True.
I pretend to know them from their youth.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I can talk somewhat about them.
True.
What's
So
your time there now?
Pardon me?
What time? What o'clock is it now?
Your side, I think, is 8:26.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, how many minutes? We have more left, Myla? We have another almost 34 more minutes left in the show, isn't it?
About so, yes.
Now I heard 4 minutes. I thought a while ago.
No, the show ends. The show ends at 9 o'clock, Mr. Kwayana. If you could also, something I get to understand is that having the name Kofi, even it seems like there's a heavy influence of Ghanaian culture in Guyana. How would you say this comes about?
So one of the groups brought there as enslaved,
True.
Akan people from so on.
The Akan people, okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of them. We have people from, definitely, we have interviewed, my wife interviewed a lot of people there. My wife is from Georgia. We met in Guyana about 1968, and she has interviewed a lot of Guyanese people. And we have found in Guyana people who were talking Yoruba. She wears African dress all the time. She taught, she was a teacher in Nigeria. We went to a village, and as soon as this woman saw, the woman greeted her in Yoruba. You understand? So you had all those pockets, and they have a Yoruba culture on the west bank of Demerara, if nowhere else, across the Demerara River. Then the Ghanaian element is very clear, very, very, some of the names are still there. We still have one or two people named Kwayana.
Yes. What about, that's within the naming and some of the remembrance of the culture. What about with, is there any similar in fabrics, the fabrics that are made in the Yoruba culture, is there fabrics like that in Guyana, or the drums? Are they made in any similarity?
Yeah, well, when we had the organization ASPRIA, when ASPRIA was active, it encouraged a lot of that.
Okay.
We don't make it there. We I don't know where it came from, but people began to wear it all over the place. The fabric. What we did, we had something called the Cultural Revolution in 1968, and we appealed to people to take African names. We had a book of African names. We had several copies. We had in various parts of the country, and people knew where to go to get an African name, to name their child. And we would appear and do the naming ceremonies. We had someone who specialized in the naming ceremonies and the wedding ceremonies. I was married under Yoruba tradition.
Wow.
To someone from Nigeria. I didn't marry in any church. We went to the register and got it legalized,
True.
But the ceremony was Yoruba, sheer Yoruba.
Did you have to pay a bribery? The bribe?
Pay what?
Did you have to pay a bribe?
No, we didn't have that aspect of it. Okay. Bride price. No, because her parents were not there anyhow.
Yes.
I
asked that because I had to do that when I was in Ghana.
Oh, in Ghana, yes, you were in Ghana.
Yeah, I had to pay a bribe when I was in Ghana that time.
Yeah. So we had the food. We have a food in Ghana named konki.
Hey.
And in Ghana they call it kenki.
Natural, me know it.
Yes.
That's my favorite food, kenke, pepper, and tilapia fish. I'm good.
Yeah. But in Guyana it is made with sugar.
Hey.
Because sugar producing country and it's wrapped up in banana leaf or plantain leaf.
Oh.
And fried in little cakes, you know. So we made
I'll go to Guyana just to get some of that.
Huh?
I'll go to Guyana just to get some of that.
Oh yes, you got to arrange it. It's not everywhere. It became very popular during Austria's time.
Okay.
We made it just as how Indians would have roti and curry. At all our festivals, you have to have konki.
Konki.
Konki is the hallmark.
True.
You could have anything else, but konki is the symbolizer.
So
we have people changing names all over the country. The head of the Jordanites, Elder Klein, at that time, Elder Klein was our chaplain from the Jordanites in Austria, and he used to come with us to naming ceremonies. We'd go to a village and name about 40 people who wanted to change their names in an open-air ceremony, you see. Did a lot of that.
So, are the Jordanians still in existence? No, or are they? The Jordanites?
No, they're very, very, very much in decline right now. Unfortunately, I haven't been there since 2002, so I can't speak firsthand. But declined.
You have an idea when the movement started?
In 1920.
Okay. Do you know the circumstances surrounding the whole?
I spoke of that before.
Now, as far as the actual origin of the movement itself.
You know, it came from the Caribbean. A man named Das, D-A-S, came to Guyana with this story and met Jordan, who had a vision. He was fasting and he had a vision, and Mr. Das baptized him and left, and then he carried on from there.
Okay.
Established it in every village had a Jordanite, a little Jordanite temple. It might be a house, you know.
True.
The headquarters was at a place called Agricola.
Agricola.
There they had a real temple, a concrete building.
Okay.
Real temple, and that was the headquarters.
All right, now. Pardon, we have a caller from the 267 area code. I'll bring on the air. Caller from the 267. Blessed love.
Blessed love, my Lord.
Blessed love, honorable.
Rastafari. Give thanks for life and the life giver. Give thanks for the royal host and the royal guest, my Lord.
My Lord.
One love.
Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, all right.
One love.
All right. One love. Professor, I have a question for you. In Trinidad, they celebrate the 31st of May as Indian Arrival Day. And I would like to know, in your history, when it was that did any slave ships reach Guyana? Or how did the slaves then reach over there? Because I get to understand Trinidad, I don't believe it had any slave ship actually came there. So I'd like you to give me a clearance on that. Like to say, if you have your lineage from Guyana and you want to trace your lineage back to Africa, because my father from Guyana.
There is somebody who specializes in that, you know. He does genealogy. And people are tracing their lineage. I don't know how they do it. I never did it. But people are doing that in Guyana. Yeah?
To your knowledge, did any slave ships come to Guyana?
Oh, yes. But I can't. I never saw the date of the first one or anything like that. But slave ships came to Guyana. Plenty. populated in that way by Africans from slave ships.
Okay.
This is no question. From about the 1620s, it began to arise.
All right.
Probably 1620 itself. My wife and I wrote a book called Scars of Bondage, SCARS, like a scratch in the skin. Scars of Bondage, to show what black people went through in Guyana from the slave times. I have that book on sale.
Okay. Yeah, it's just that I wanted, because as I say, I don't see anywhere where I ain't get no history and no slave ship coming to Trinidad. So the slaves was sent there from other islands. You know.
I can't. You're from Trinidad?
Yeah, I'm born in Trinidad.
Well, you all are very good research people, because every carnival you all do a lot of research.
Professor.
I saw it going on.
Here how you put it over there, so there's one people and we all come from the same ship, so that carnival thing and all them spin-off is what we're trying to eradicate and get to the core, which part we
I never heard.
With one people come over on the same ship, and we want to pick up them connection nowadays so that we can put down the Trinidad, and Africa, no, and we want to pick up Africa, because we don't want to fly the colonial flags there, you know.
That's right.
We want that solidarity, that kind of knowledge going out in the airways, so that the youths them throughout the islands can see the solidarity, and not no Guyanese and no Trinidadian and no Barbadian, because it's one of the most ridiculous things ever come out.
I will have to look up that thing about Trinidad and the slave ship, and I can let Priest Jaja know what I find out. But
sure.
I can't answer
that, Professor. Yeah. So we want them knowledge out public out now.
I'm not a professor, you know.
Well, right now you're a professor in the black world, you know, because you're a man with knowledge, you know. We don't need the white world to give you no honors. In the black world, you're a professor. Come and listen to you all night. You're a professor, my lord.
Make it so clear.
Royal priest. Honorable priest, my lord. Honorable priest, my lord. But the elder did mention that there's a heavy Yoruba, Ghanaian and Nigerian influence in Guyana. So that could be
in Trinidad too.
Yeah.
They have Orishas in Trinidad, They have people doing a Nigerian religion in Trinidad.
Yes.
Yoruba religion.
Yeah, we know this, but we're the one who come with the new name, Rastafari, So we understand all that, and we not fight no one still. But we are them and those who seek to know the face of God,
In Guyana, we interviewed an elderly woman, Mother, what's her name now? Strike off?
Right up.
We interviewed a woman who came from Guinea. Whose parents came from Guinea as indentured. We had people, I grew up among people who were Congo, like Gangang I was talking about. She used to tell me Congo a high racial, which means she was Congo,
Yeah, because look at that thing what we used to be. When we were small growing up, and you do something stupid, here was somebody would tell you, wow, you're so stupid, you come from Kayaku.
Yes.
And it's when I get big, I get to understand it have an island named Kayaku, and all the people on Kayaku, the last name, the surname, is African.
Yeah, look at that.
All the people that in Kayaku, the last name, the surname, is Africa. So somewhere along the line, they retain the identity in a way. But the way how the white world try to spin it off, they try to put Kayaku. We don't even know what is Kayaku, but we don't know we associate Kayaku with stupidness.
Yes. Like Timbuktu.
You understand?
They talk about Timbuktu as if it's not a place, you know? And it's a leading...
Because Kayaku is an island of Grenada.
Yes, Kayaku.
Yes, an island of Grenada.
Yes, I know.
You know, and all of them
and and everybody named Africa.
Everybody last name is African and is from Ghana. Ghana influence because it's Kwame and all them Kocho and all them kind of names.
Yes.
That's
You know what I mean? So at that connection, me want man of intelligence, man who scholars in the black world who come with the scholastic meditation to bring these kind of reasoning out front so that the children of all these so-called Bajan, Jamaican, Trinidadian, Sylvanian can realize, say, wait now, all of these one people, because that is what lifted me up. You know what I mean? When you look at today, but in New York, a portion of black people and a whole heap of different flags. You know? So we want that solidarity. So we give thanks for the information. We're moving to the air and we want to use them kind of things to our advantage. So that after we want that solidarity. Black people need that solidarity amongst themselves to know we are brothers and sisters of one race, regardless of where we are born. You know, and we owe allegiance to Mother Africa.
Thank you for that, coming in with that message. Thanks a lot.
True one.
Yes, Honorable. Mr. Kwayana, please, if you could... Yes, please, you wanted to come in a few times, please. Come in, my lad. Come in, Angel.
I was speaking.
I try to give thanks. I give thanks, you know. I try to be listening to the idea, man. You know, more time they say when you don't have something to say, don't say nothing. So through me hear the idea tonight, and I had something to say because Trinidad, at one time, the 1st of August, they used to celebrate Columbus Day.
Yes.
Until we as Rastafari put it in the papers in 1980 when Chambers come to power to show him say how we could celebrate Columbus Day and the 1st of August is Emancipation Day. And that's when they made it a public holiday.
Crazy people, man.
You see it? So the same way Indian in Trinidad, through them just get election and them run in Trinidad and them from ever since the 31st of May, them celebrate as Indian Arrival Day. You know, we as black people, it's like, it's them going like if we just drop from the sky. You know what I mean?
All right.
So we calling up on all the scholars who are doing all the diligent researches. These are some of the knowledge we want them to bring up in the forefront so that we can, again, say, draw that solidarity amongst we as a people so we can all know, say, let's look towards Africa. What can we do for Mother Africa? Because she has been holding us up all throughout the years. No, regardless of where we're born, they cannot take away our African identity. You know?
A man in Cayenne told me that in 1970. I was interviewing him. I was telling the priest when I passed through Cayenne to go to the Lusaka conference. When I asked him about his religion, he said, the God of my grandfather is my God, and no one can take that from me. That's what he told me in 1970.
Okay. Because I see an incident as early the other day as a Montserrat, and he's much Haiti here. Look how Haiti get devastated. I see one African government, the Senegalese, step up to the plate and say they're willing to repatriate. I see Montserrat come and the Queen step in and say them see subjects. So up to now they still don't want to come to these terms to say we were forcefully taken away and we have to be returned. We after this, that's inevitable. You know them ways there. So this is what we want. The because it was such a perfect occasion for Haiti, for the Rastaman them to rise up and say, well, listen, Haiti done enough, so send me back which part on the tech we from the first place. And that message they will push over wherever we is. Don't get comfortable. You understand? Because Africa big for all of we.
True.
Thank you.
My Lord.
My Lord, give thanks for that.
Oh, bless the love, my Lord.
Blessed
love, Rastafari. Professor, blessed love, and have a blessed one.
And peace on your soul.
My Lord. Honorable Mr. Kwayana, could you tell us the current day runnings in Guyana in terms of maybe the influence of Walter Rodney and from the revolutionary times until now? What's going on currently for Guyana?
That is a tough one. The Guyana politics today is a scramble. The ideas and the objectives of Walter Rodney and a lot of other people of those times are not there now. It's just a scramble for money.
Corruption.
Yeah, the place become a big drug thing, but there are people there with the ideas, you know. But at the moment, they're not at the forefront. Society is listening for other things. People are very confused. A lot of crime, a lot of drugs, a lot of killing. For the time being, you know, these ideas will come back. Every year they celebrate Walter Rodney, and then we get a little run for a time, but then it goes out and it gives rise to the daily scramble for life and hustling, you know. It's a hustle country. Well, I don't live there right now, so I can't talk too much.
True.
I always believe in first-hand information, you know.
Yeah, man. They show that from the beginning of the interview until now. The guy is a hands-on elder. You know, we give thanks for such a living testimony and such a living sacrifice that the guy has done. Mr. Kwayana, I can't lie. I've mentioned your name anytime I meet a brother or a sister that's coming from Guyana. When I was living in Ghana, I would mention your name, you know, and they would know of the eye. You know, from young brethren or sisters that were coming from Guyana to elder ones. They all know of the eye. So the eye has really done some great works, you know. And just say on the radio, you know, Madasi, why? You know?
Madasi.
Yes. And we're drawing to a close, Honorable. So if you have any closing remarks, now would be the time. If you want to put out any contact information as well, you're free to.
Well, I promise to send you some things, whatever I find.
Okay.
The questions raised, I will send to you. I have your email address, and you will know how to get it to the questioners.
True.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I feel that I like a lot of the messages that came in. African people, as someone said, we are standing at the end of the longest queue in the world. We need to defend our culture and respect it, because Africa has a lot to teach the world, has taught the world a lot. And we can go back there and get a lot of very valuable life lessons on every topic under the sun. If we would only believe it and search for it, it is there to be found. Pioneers in many ways. A country where human beings saw the light of day, which led, was in the forefront of progress for many centuries. And here in this United States too. I'm going to send you my wife's website, Priest Jaja.
Sure.
I'm going to send you that URL from my wife's website. She has a lot of astonishing things there about this country and the African heritage, you know.
Okay.
And we have to spread the word.
Thank
you very much for inviting. Huh? Oh.
Yes.
She sent it to you already. She sent it to you already.
Okay. Yes, I believe I got the links. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Kwayana, we're gonna have to invite you again on the show. You know, some time from now. You know, we just greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your daily runnings. You know, we do give thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for your. Can we get a copy of it? Are you taping this?
Yes. Yes. This will all be on archives. You know, recorded digitally. That Honorable Priest Jaja, I believe they can be downloaded, you know, from the website there. So I think Honorable Priest Jaja can get that information. Yeah.
Yes, I can email. Yes, I can email it to you tomorrow morning. Or...
Yeah. How long will it last?
Forever. This is something that can be passed out for the generations.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's on a digital recording. This is monumental work, you know. And we give thanks again for such a great contribution, you know.
Yes, and thank you for inviting me. I mean, I hope your audience enjoyed it. I enjoyed your questions. I'm sorry I couldn't answer all of them. I'm not a professor.
You're the professor tonight, trust me, my lord.
Baba Eusi, we love the eye. You may uncle,
Thank you, brother. One love.
Yes, brother.
Bless love, my lord.
So
respect.
Pardon?
Much respect.
Okay, much respect to you, brother. I love my lord. And take care. Bless up your Empress.
Thank you.
All right. So yes,
greet everyone, my lord. You know.
Sure. Thank you. And you too. Do the same when you get home to yours.
Give thanks. I'm gonna call the eyes when we get off this show. Don't worry. You know.
Respect. All right. Thank you.
Give thanks.
All right. Bless
I'm hanging up.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Love, you know.
Love, my lord. Bless you. Give thanks. So yes, everyone listening, we give thanks. Honorable Prophet Kwame, we give thanks for the link, Baba Shanti.
Oh my lord, you have to bring us in with a little service, my lord. You're a royal priest, you know, on the altar of Melchizedek, my lord. And you close out the show with some service for Anna, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, want some prayers for Anna, you know. The world needed Baba Shanti, you know.
True. The Father said, God is love, let us all love, you know. So we have to just hold on to that first love of the Father teach us, you know, love of Christ, love of salvation. So we give thanks even next episode, Thursday night, we're going to have Empress Marina dealing with the topic of love within the black royal family, you know, the Rasta man, the woman, you know what I mean. So definitely looking forward to hear the Empress reasoning, because we definitely, like I say, want to rekindle that family, you know, unit amongst us as a people, as a race, you know, because a lot of youths growing up, young youths with no fathers, and, you know, so the situation is rough as a people, you know, so Empress is going to deal with that issue, you know, once coming together as a unit. Let us build our family, our royal nation, wealth kingdom, you know, because we want to, you know, right now we're in overtime right now, you know, so the whole thing right now is for us to come together. As a man said, gather every straw into one bundle, you know. So glorify for the Father doesn't say unity is strength, you know. Even as the elder said, as Majesty was the one that the nations would call for unity. You know, whenever there was a disagreement, they would call for the emperor to even bind, you know what I mean, that broken heart, you know. So we give thanks, you know, for the Father of life, you know, the Father of love, you know, the King of love, my shepherd is, you know, Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie,
yeah, Rastafari.
So yes, Honorable, you know, we're going to close out with some night being order. We give thanks for all of those listening, tuning in. Like I said, check us Thursday night, same time, you know, same station. You know, we glorify, you know, my Lord, for the link, you know. More life and prosperity today, my Lord, you know.
Oh, my Lord. I just love to give out Honorable Priest Jati's number, you know, our acting chairman in Ghana. I would love ones to please give the angel a call at 233-2491-68. Please give the angel a call. We have to continue building the tabernacle in Chim Nutafu. Give thanks, my Lord, for such a royal show. Continue with the works, more encouragement. King Emmanuel the Seven, Rastafari. I am blessed, my Lord and Emperor.
My Lord, bless it.
Never pray before.